Hello guys, coming to ZPR. Let me tell you the news story. You're gonna like this. Welcome to Safari Studios in Connecticut. So this is Safari Studios. The biggest news is Safari Studios have allowed ZPR to make this place my personal home for the next 1 year, free of charge. That is their support, sponsorship to ZPR. So this is where, so there is a whole new setup, whole new color shape and everything for the whole year. The name is Safari Studios in Connecticut. They have, of course, this talk show style. They have a podcast in the other section of the room. They have a photo shoot, audio and video. You just book it, and I'm telling you, the talent here is the best. When you're here, you're at home, they have a kitchen. They make sure you have your coffee, your tea, and everything. So welcome to ZPR's new home, Safari Studios. You're gonna see some t-shirts pretty soon. I am really excited for this big gift the owners of Safari Studio has given me. So now you can book and film with me any time of the week, of the month, and of the year. Thank you so much. Don't forget Safari Studios. Welcome. Now, let's go to my monologue for today. I'm ready. Hey guys, and welcome to ZPR, Zanu Project Rethink. My name is Franck Zanu. Yes, another link has jumped into my feed. Well, of course, it's all over social media, right? It's all over the internet. A very sad pictures. The videos are just sad. And I'm talking about what is going on in South Africa. It is, I mean, no one would even imagine that this can happen in an African country of Africans against another group of Africans. Nobody would think this could be possible, but it's going on. And I would say to South Africans, really speak against it, because the optics very ugly, very ugly. So let's start. People say, don't call it xenophobia, don't call it racism, don't call it this. No, the names are not important at all. Let's go to the genesis of it all. I have been saying this thing for quite some time now. And so we are going to dissect what is going on in South Africa. I've been saying it. It is very dangerous when a group of people or a person faces a problem. And you see, human nature is this. Human nature, we look for solutions to our problems. Either problems affecting us as individuals or affecting a community. Of course, human beings, whenever something happens, we look for solutions. Not necessarily to come from us, no. We scream so people can hear it, and hopefully somebody has a solution. And I say, be very careful what conclusions you arrive when you find yourself in a certain situation that doesn't make sense to you. Be very careful, because the conclusions are the ones that they are going to, the conclusions will put you on the wrong path. And by the time you realize you were not on the right path, it's long. You have to trek backward again. So with South Africa, it started. They said, no, we, the black South Africans, our economic and social status was because of colonization. That was abandoned. And they said, no, it wasn't colonization. Our economic and social status is because of apartheid. Then they say, oh no, it wasn't apartheid. Now they have to look into their bag of guilt and fetch another guilty person. And soon you are going to run out of guilt. And that is where the danger becomes bigger. So I say, we human beings, especially black people, we carry what I call our basket of the guilty ones, basket filled with guilts. So you can pick it anytime you have a problem, quickly pick someone or something in that basket and hold it up and say, this is what is causing the problem. So South Africans had their basket of guilty things, guilty people. First, it was colonization was responsible for our economic and social status. And then that was not useful anymore. They went back into the bag and they picked up apartheid. And then that was not. Now they went into the bag. Fortunately for them and unfortunately for other non-black South Africans from Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Ghana, Kenya, and other places, oh, they found them in the basket and they pulled it out. So it's not xenophobia. It's not hatred. No, so South Africans do not hate their fellow neighbors. They don't at all. No, no. What you see there is what I used to refer to as the collective ignorance. Everyone knows this is not a problem. But who dare you disagree with the majority who are saying these people are the problem? So if it wasn't colonization, it wasn't apartheid, is it foreigners? No, it's not. But they got to find a place. They got to find something to give them the answer they needed, if temporarily, while they are waiting for if we can ever find what it is. Oh, they know what it is. They can't say it because, you see, they spoke too soon, too quickly about other things. So let's break it down, right? Please follow me here. I had a friend of mine who was a school teacher. In 1984, he told me he was moving from Ghana to South Africa. That was in 1984. The apartheid regime was in power because it would be shut down 10 years after he went to South Africa. Then I met another guy from Nigeria who also said he was moving to South Africa, and that was in 1988 or 89, thereabout. The point I'm trying to make is this. Ghanaians, Nigerians, Kenyans, all these people have been moving to South Africa long during the time of apartheid. They did. Last video I saw, there was a gentleman on the video saying, I have been living here with my family for the last 52 years. Well, apartheid was dismantled only in 1994, but he's been living in South Africa for the last 52 years. So interesting, isn't it, that when the apartheid regime was in place, which the South Africans described as evil, racist, they don't love black people, and they are seeking to kill black people. When that regime was in place with its own white-controlled immigration and customs, blacks were going to South Africa from other countries. When the apartheid regime was in place with its white-controlled police and armed forces, blacks from other countries were going to South Africa and settling in South Africa. Yes, the South African government, the white government, had two systems. One they call the back door, which is they wave to neighboring countries to come to South Africa temporarily so they can use them to work at mining sites. And of course you make money, and after working and you make the money and they pay you, if they don't need you, you go back home. That was one. They laid emphasis on employing people from outside who have very high skills. So usually it was Europeans. But what I am saying is this. The people from the neighboring countries who moved into South Africa when the white apartheid regime was in place, they never faced any threat from the white man, did they? How ironic that an apartheid racist regime that you claim was evil and didn't like black people, all the Nigerians and Ghanaians, by the way, the entire OAU, the Organization of African Unity, combined, they sanctioned South Africa, along with some European countries that also sanctioned South Africa. So the same countries, Nigeria, Ghana, that sanctioned South Africa, their people were going there and were safe and sound under the white regime. You see, we don't have records of the white regime of South Africa ever chasing Ghanaians and Nigerians on the streets, not just chasing them and saying, hey, leave and go home. Beating them, killing them, maiming them, hurting them, looting from them. Have you ever seen that? No? You haven't. Why were these countries attracted to South Africa even when the white apartheid regime was in place? Because they know the economic boom from the hands of the white people. Be careful when you cry too soon, too quick. It will come to bite you. So we fast forward. Two things have happened that is so strange. During the apartheid regime, Nigeria was included, Tanzania, Ghana. Those are the three major countries I remember. Ghana especially built hostels in Ghana that housed South African students who ran away from South Africa after the big first riot, the youth riot. They came to Ghana, they went to Tanzania, and they went to Nigeria. These countries gave Miriam Makeba citizenship, Tanzania, Ghana, Uganda, Nigeria, I believe. These countries were home to South Africans. We sang songs to support their fight. We wore t-shirts. We named some of our neighborhoods after their towns just to support them. But 34 years later, they descended on their fellow black people, killing them in the streets, broad daylight, humiliating them in the streets, broad daylight. Now, there are illegal blacks from Africa in almost every European country, including the United States of America, including Japan and China and everywhere. Have you seen any non-black country treating black people in its streets the way black people in South Africa are treating their fellow blacks? Please tell me. You feel safe in a racist white country, so you call it, than you would in the backyard of your own neighbor. Now, what is even baffling me is, where are all the Pan-Africanists? The PLO Lumumba of Kenya, the Julius Malema, the Umar Johnson, where are they? I haven't heard any of them speak against this evil thing happening in the streets of South Africa. Why? Where are those who are flowering and romanticized about African unity? Does it look like unity is possible? Ghana is spoiling to send two people back home. Retaliation, South Africans. And anger against Nigerians who live in Ghana and will just not put up proper conduct. Or soon Nigeria may say, well, we're going to target someone too. We've spoken too soon, too quickly, too fast about our problems. And the South Africans keep shaking the basket of the guilty ones. Next, who is going to be guilty? Oh, I pray, really do sincerely pray. If all the foreigners, the non-black South African foreigners from these countries I mentioned, if they all should get up one day and they leave South Africa, I promise you, they're going to look into the basket of the guilty ones. They're going to find something there. You know what they're going to find? Themselves. They will turn on themselves.
If you know yourself that you're not South African, all these nurses and doctors, they are here for South Africans. Get them South Africa.
And I pray that should not happen. So be careful. You think that if all foreigners who are occupying this the low of the lowest form of employment in South Africa are the reason for your economic status? So let me ask the South Africans. You got power from white South Africa 34 years ago. This is a country that is 100% black. The parliament is black. And for 34 years, you know it, that your economic standard has never changed. You know very well. It was so bad that you jailed for the first time in history one of your own black president, Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma was thrown in jail for being corrupt. They thought his corruption is the reason the economy was bad. Did your economy change? No, it didn't change. Do you see? It didn't change. So for the last 34 years, according to news report and some commentators, It's gotten worse, not because of Nigerians and Kenyans and Ghanaians. No, you know that very well. All of you know it. This Dudula movement and March on March, you all know it's not Ghanaians or Nigerians. Here is what is twisted here for you. And two things that really bugs me. One is this. So they turned the country to black people, South Africans. And then one of you, just July 26, 2013, July the 26th, 2013, not too long ago, Julius Malema gets up and then he formed the Economic Freedom Fighters. Listen to the name of the organization. A black man in a black country, ruled by black people, controlling the economy and you name it, forms an organization that he is fighting for economic freedom. And you ask, economic freedom from who? Now, what is interesting is Julius Malema was in the ANC government when he was a youth. Long time ago. He was there when Mandela came out of jail. He was young. He's what, 46 years old now. Under apartheid, he did not form EFF under apartheid. No, none of his cronies did. When the country is now in the hands of black people, the black people have been saying that the white were the result or the reason for why they are not rich and prosperous. The whites stepped aside. Another black man started an organization called Economic Freedom Fighters. You ask, you're fighting for economic freedom from who? From your fellow black people? From the black government? It doesn't make sense. Shouldn't you have just stopped and say, we were wrong, we thought apartheid was responsible for our economic status. Come to find out it wasn't. But he didn't want to speak. You see, the South Africans know something is wrong. The story they told them by the black politicians, including Mandela and his people, were not right. The young South Africans know that we were told that the white man and the apartheid regime was responsible for our status quo, the economic status. We've witnessed, anyone who is 40 years old, you've witnessed the country turn to your people. And after 34 years, above the threshold, nothing has changed. But you see, the collective South African has what is called dissonance reduction. They are in that state. I don't want to say it because it will mean me calling out my fellow blacks. It means we are admitting right there in front of the white man that you were not at all the problem for all this time. And I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it. So thank God there are some Nigerians and Ghanaians here. Let's put the blame on them. Hopefully by the time we deal with this lie, something may pan out. Nothing is going to pan out. You'll be forced to admit it. I promise you, 99.9% of South Africans know that these foreigners are not the problem. But they find it difficult to turn around and face their own people and say, so you did lie to us. It was not colonization. It was not the Oranian project. It was not apartheid. We should have accepted that since we were there, we live on that land thousands of years before these Dutch people came to settle only about 500 years ago. How could they be responsible for your economic status of a place that you've occupied from the day Adam and Eve were created? They were not, because if you read what apartheid meant, it has nothing to do with what we all were complaining about, including myself back in the 70s. And I hated apartheid. I had my fist in the air and, supported everything that came out of South Africa. I was. Oh, yeah. We had clubs and all that. Apartheid was against interracial marriage. The word apartheid in Afrikaans is just an English word that says apart. Let's live apart socially. and culturally. That's it. No white government in South Africa ever prevented a South African group of people to be artists and play music and sell it. They never did. No white government in South Africa prevented any black village from farming on their own land. No, they never did. No South African government, white, said, no, a black man in South Africa cannot be an artist or play soccer or you name it. They never did. The Zulus live on their own land with their own kings all over the place. There was a land sitting there idle for how many years? No black South African found apartheid so treacherous that they decided to say, government, give us this land, we want to move. But a handful of white people bought the land, and now the new story in town is your Orania project. This has not taught South Africans any lesson yet. So again, I am not here to beat on you. No. My mission is to give you something to think about. After this, Dudula or March on March, killing these foreigners in the streets, after it's over, please, I call on the youth of South Africa, start forming groups and brainstorm and have one message for your political leaders, because they've taken you for a ride for too long. Now, they were not selfish and stupid. No. They also believed what they were telling you. They believed it. Now, that is the worst part of it all. They also believed it. And you believe them. Do you know who is Malema's bodyguard? A white man. How much does he pay him? Why didn't he give that job to a black man? Malema doesn't believe that a black man would take a bullet on his behalf. Does he? Now, black South Africans were never asking for the government to give them land. No, they were not. And for those of you who are young, you are not guilty. You're not part of that. You're Gen Zs. You came after 1994, right? You don't have anything to do with it. But you, the young ones, the bright ones, stop allowing your heart and your mind to be played. Start thinking intellectually and ask very severe, serious questions. In no country in the world, no country at all, where people came from other places to open nail salons and hair salons and clean streets and sell dirty clothes on the floor, and the economy went down, has never happened. Do you know how many Nigerians are living in China as we speak? They've set up shop everywhere. The only thing they're not selling is human skull. Do you know how many Africans are in France, laid out every day along the road, selling dirty, cheap, knockout goods every day? How about the UK? How about the United States of America? Have you been to Harlem or Brooklyn and see Senegalese and Malians and Guineans and just plaiting hair? Have you seen the nail salons in the United States, in America? It has never killed an economy. And you know it very well that it never kills an economy. But what I'm saying is, you got put in a place where the conflict in your mind, you couldn't deal with it. And so the only thing you did is what human beings do all the time. You shifted the attention to something just to give you a moment of clarity. If it is only going to last a week, so you can think. You know damn well, no Ghanaian or Nigerian in that country was responsible for your economic status back in the 60s. Well, apartheid started in 1948 and ended in 1994. Your economic status was not good. The whites who held all these industries they build and the economic systems, they've taken a back seat. How can some riff-raff, raggedy people on the streets of South Africa selling candies and used clothing destroy the main economy? Do you know how many Nigerians and Ghanaians and Kenyans are paying rent to landlords? You never complained that too many non-black South Africans have moved into the country, therefore you don't have room to rent and you are sleeping on the streets. Now that would make sense. But to say that because of them, And those of you living in white countries, you have some nerve to live in those white countries safe, secured, because the police will not allow what is going on in South Africa to happen to anybody in America or in the UK. They will never allow that to happen to you. So be careful, those of you black people living in the UK, in France, in Germany, in the United States of America, where you wake up every day only to piss off the host country citizens, be careful. You see what they are doing to their own fellow countrymen from neighboring countries. I thought the world would stop and say, whoa, we never thought this is ever possible. For black people in a black country to chase down fellow Africans from that continent and kill them in the streets, not over war, simply because you're selling some used clothes on the streets, something that happened all over the world. When I was living in Japan, you would see Israelis youth, they come through, Israelis, and they sell these called Dead Sea, salt on the streets of Tokyo. And necklaces, handmade necklaces and rings and stuff like that. Japanese never chase them and blame it on an economy. What you have done, whoa, the picture is ugly. It cannot be erased because of the internet. But I pray, I don't know what your great-grandchildren would say when they see what you have done, not to white people or Arab or Chinese, to your own kind. Now, let me tell you something. I'm not defending the Ghanaians or the Nigerians or anyone, but what I saw is beyond words. The very country that continent, citizens of those countries have supported over the years, gave you room to run away. Hugh Masekela, God bless his soul, the best of the best, was living in Nigeria and then later on in Osu, Accra, Ghana, for years. We opened our doors for him. Fela Anikulapo Kuti hosted Hugh Masekela, jammed with him for years. He found it to be a home. Then he moved and played with the Hejole sounds back in the 70s and 80s in Ghana. Ghana was like a home to Hugh Masekela from South Africa, followed by Mira Makeba and many more. You've lied to yourself, your politicians have lied to you. Now it's tough for you to say, let's face our own people. How in God's name would you explain this? You cried and went to jail that white people are torturing your own people and making your own people broke, which is not true. They gave the country to you. Jacob Zuma became president and stole enough that his own people, black government, threw him in jail. And you know what happened when they threw him in jail as a matter of accountability? All hell broke loose in South Africa. Zulus said no, they would never see their fellow man from Zululand thrown in jail. So they went on a riot, burning and looting. Clear sign, the African can never unite. Because you know why? The parliament full of Xhosas and other people were the ones who jailed Zuma, not Zulu people. Was that not enough for you to say, wow, you came to power. You say you care about us. And you stole the very money that would have fed us. While when the whites were in place, they created economic opportunities, schools and roads and railway lines and you name it. And that country became an attractive country to all of us. You should have sat down and thought about it. What really is apartheid? It was a social and a cultural order. We don't want interracial marriage. We want separate social amenities. It's happening here in America called the segregation. Yeah, many countries don't want it. You know what? Actually, that was the biggest opportunity for South Africa to have come together as one country, one molded tribe, and develop your own economic foundations and systems. You couldn't. You were not begging for factories to be given to you. You were not begging for land to build your own factories. You were fighting against, no, we want to mix with you. But what is there that is so common between the white man from the Dutch land and you that you want to mix? In fact, it's not even natural in the first place. The settlers knew their culture and knew yours. Oh, recently when I interviewed Mr. Just from the Orania, many are saying, oh wow, we've come to understand it properly now. But in the first place, I was saying, why wouldn't we come there? Well, you are angry with Mr. Just saying, look, we're creating an enclave for our people. You couldn't even allow those who look like you to remain in your country. But you are asking that you should be allowed to go to Orania, where the people are so distinctively different from you, culturally, socially, politically, historically, everything. Does it make sense? So I call on the youth of South Africa. You can be forgiving what has happened. You can be forgiving. Ghanaians are very forgiving people. I know that. Even Nigerians, as rough as they are, they can be very forgiving too. This is an opportunity for all of you to sit and say, we did something wrong. And hold your politicians accountable because they have lied to you. They have lied. It wasn't colonization. It wasn't apartheid. It wasn't Nigerians and Ghanaians and whatever, Zimbabweans. No. Your economic status, your social status is no different from that of Uganda. Uganda also blamed Indians. Zimbabwe also blamed British. You see, don't you see the pattern? So why would yours be different? Nigeria has oil, but they're flopping into your country. Why are their economic status not different? There was no apartheid in Nigeria. There was no apartheid in Ghana. There is no apartheid in Uganda, in Zimbabwe, in Kenya. But they are flopping into your country because they share the same economic status, as long as you're black. I made an episode where I discussed the wrong policies of Mugabe of Zimbabwe. Everybody went and said what I knew they would say. Oh, Zanu, you are one-sided. You've forgotten about the sanctions that was imposed upon Zimbabwe. Now listen to this. There were two Rhodesias. Northern Rhodesia became Zambia. Southern Rhodesia became Zimbabwe. Okay, if the sanctions were the reason Southern Rhodesia that became Zimbabwe, if the economic sanctions were the reasons you became poor, then what made Northern Rhodesia, which became Zambia, poor? They had no sanction. What made Mozambique poor? What made the Congo, huge place with all the resources, poor? Botswana, Kenya, Uganda, Somalia, Tanzania, everyone. Now go to West Africa, everyone. Go to East Africa, everyone is poor. That is what you say. You don't like your economic status because you keep comparing it to others. So the question you need to ask yourself, all these countries I mentioned were not sanctioned. So what makes you think that if you were not sanctioned, you will be any better? Don't you see what Mugabe did? What makes you think he could have done? Okay, the sanctions were gone, right? How many years ago? Have you seen a trace? No. Guys, I'm asking one more time for those who are listening. Stop making conclusions. Stop jumping to conclusions. You have plenty to look around to help you question your status. But you refuse because you spoke too quickly. Neo-colonization, oh, you guys use it. But when it's not there, it's sanctions. Do you know how many countries are sanctioned in this world? More than you can count. Sanction doesn't do anything. It just simply said, we don't want to trade with you. In fact, Whenever there is a sanction, it's when the countries take opportunity. They take advantage of that and say, hey guys, and they build from within, always. So South Africa, you have a chance. It's not too late. The world can forgive you. What you need to do, the young ones, start forming groups and come up with the narrative. What you are going to tell your politicians. Because 1994, 1998, look, Mandela was in jail for 27 years or more. He didn't have a plan what he was going to do for Black South Africa. He didn't. They made him president. He died depressed. He knew before he died it wasn't apartheid. So you have the opportunity to come together. Maybe this problem is a chance, it's an opportunity. Take advantage of it. Because I'm telling you today, this has nothing to do with the black foreigners in your country. Don't live to regret. Correct it so others can forgive you and respect you. Have a conversation, have a conference. Youth, and go to your politicians. In fact, make a demand. There shall be no more elections until these questions are reversed. We need to know, really, what is the problem of the black man in the continent? There is none. The black man has no problem. The only problem we face in Africa is somebody ended up convincing us that we are not what we are. That we're not supposed to be the way we are. And that is the day the problem started. What we are is what we have been able to build. Accept that first. So the kids don't think something is happening, I can't do anything, I'm scared if I start something, they're gonna kill me. Oh yeah, whenever, the other saying, I'll make an episode on it. Our good leaders get assassinated. Do you see how low intelligent Africans can be? One person said it, they all repeat it as if they have any fact. There is no fact in it. And when you hear me speak about it in the next episode, you'll understand. We got to stop these conclusions. We got to stop repeating these slogans. We got to stop believing the stories these politicians feed us. And we got to look within, and I promise you, one of you, if you take the burden of the false narratives you carry with you, you will discover the way out. And sometimes the way out is not that you're going to build anything. It is that for the first time, the African would accept that, look, everybody started somewhere. For us, this is our somewhere. And then the future, something will be different, because that is how every society was built. No one had a calendar stick up on any wall to tell the African continent when they are supposed to look like France or Amsterdam or anywhere. There is no calendar. So how do you know that you're not supposed to be where you are and you're angry over something that is, I promise you, natural? Because nothing, I have repeated too many times, there is nothing in the world, even in natural science, that can repeat itself, no probability, and come up with 54 times, 54 countries, 54 locations. And even when you spread them out to the Caribbean, into the UKs and into the Americas, it doesn't change. And you still believe somebody is doing it to you. Nobody's doing anything. You have chosen to frustrate yourself and your children and their children. And we got to stop. If not for those fake and false narratives, some Ghanaians and Nigerians would have been alive in South Africa. So don't feel angry, South Africans. It is natural for you to be confused the way things went. Some white men are pouring wine saying, we told them. Many people are saying it. So next time, whether on an individual level, with your friends, a family, or group, a nation, please, when you face something you cannot understand, discourage everyone from arriving at a conclusion and creating a slogan. This is what caused brothers and sisters, those people who say we are the brothers and sisters, to become so angry. You know why? The South African couldn't understand anymore. Every time we blame from the basket of guilt, it doesn't change the condition. So I'm warning you now, make this one the last one. There is nothing in that basket. But if you go back in after you've dealt with the foreigners, you are going to find something. And the next person you are going to blame may be the fat South Africans. You are eating too much. That's why our economy is not growing. When you're done with the fat South Africans, you're going to look in. You're going to deal with the tall South Africans. You are too tall. That's why the sunshine is not falling on us. You're taking all the space. When you deal with that one, you're going to look inside. You're going to blame all the short South Africans. Why you guys are useless. You can't even jump and pluck the fruits and give it to us to eat. What I'm saying is not a joke. If you don't look inside you and you keep looking into a basket of guilt, somebody and something is always, you're going to find it. And you know what it does? It delays the possible solution to the problem. Many, many societies have learned this. And they've taught it to their children. And with that, I welcome you to the new studio, Safari Studios, for those of you just tuning in. And as always, thank you for your support. I always enjoy it. Subscribe and keep following me. Thank you.